The crypto ecosystem works like an echo chamber. You generate yield from here, you bring it there, etc. For it to grow, RWA has to come in. And I believe this sector alone would be bigger than the entire crypto industry put together and would be driver of this whole transformation. That's what Zoth facilitates and brings to the table.
You're tapping in to traditional finance markets. These things are kind of unheard of to people on DeFi.
Zoth is decentralizing the governance and allowing you more usage of your real world asset. Rather than you just holding it and earning 3-4%, you get additional incentive and an additional utilization. But most importantly, creates a more fair and inclusive way to get access to top fixed income products, but at the same time creating more diversity and creating an ecosystem which is much more decentralized.
Institutions like BlackRock and Franklin Templeton, you think at some point they'll try to use your protocols?
It's just a matter of time. We're already working with some of the top financial institutions, helping them basically understand the DeFi ecosystem and how to really leverage distribution around this space.
Are you so successful at this because you know how to speak their language? Or is it just making the tech that makes it a no-brainer? Or is it both?
I believe to be successful in RWA, you need to speak the language of both worlds. At Zoth, we are able to do because of the experience me and the team has in space.
20 years from now, what does Zoth look like and what are you doing in this space?
I believe that we would possibly see Zoth as one of the largest financial institutions. That's the pivotal role a company like Zoth would play, and I would be more focused on giving back. That's what I really want to do.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.
The world is changing. Inspiration is everywhere. It has never been so easy to connect, share, and bring people together. We're learning from others and finding the best in ourselves. Challenging our beliefs. Sharing our vulnerability. Overcoming our fears. Transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go?
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is...
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Pritam Dutta, the fintech innovator, Web3 entrepreneur, and angel investor. You are the founder and CEO of Zoth, a pioneering fintech company leveraging the blockchain to provide global DeFi liquidity and financing solutions to businesses in emerging markets. Zoth brings institutional-grade, fixed-yield RWAs, plus an RWA-backed stablecoin, both on-chain. Under your leadership, Zoth has achieved remarkable milestones, originating over $250 million in credit and fixed income products for partners like XDC, Funfair, and CeeLo. You personally have been recognized as one of Asia's top 100 digital leaders and are a passionate advocate for making global finance more fair, accessible, and efficient. Ultimately, your mission is to create a more inclusive financial ecosystem for businesses and communities around the world. Pritam, welcome to London Real in Dubai.
Thanks, Brian. Glad to be here.
We're excited to have you. I just want to start by saying that Zoth is one of our portfolio companies here at London Real Ventures, the world's first media-powered investment firm. where our mission is to transform the world by investing in cutting-edge Web3 and AI companies while giving our partners marketing exposure across the London Real media platforms and academies. We heighten awareness, create customers, and build communities by leveraging our global audience and extensive network. Pritam, we're super excited to be part of this journey with you. So let's jump in. What is Zoth?
So imagine the whole financial ecosystem today. It's more than 8 trillion, the amount of money that moves. 2 trillion of them are fixed income products. If you just look at US Treasury, it's in trillions of dollars, generating 3 to 4% yield. At Zoth, we bring these products on chain by building an infrastructure which allows holders of these assets, both on-chain products as well as off-chain products, build what we call a CDP or a leverage token on top, giving them fully DeFi native utility. So imagine anybody holding a real world asset, generating fixed income products, they can put this as a collateral, mint ZUSD, which is our yield bearing token, and get additional rewards, and at the same time use it across DeFi. So it brings the barriers, because only institution can buy most of these products, but it allows now retails, I would say, an indirect access to such assets, but most importantly, creates a more fair and inclusive way to get access to top fixed income products, but at the same time, creating more diversity and creating an ecosystem which is much more decentralized.
This is so important because right now, if you're in the DeFi world, if you're in blockchain, if you own some crypto, when you go to get yields, maybe you go to like one of these platforms like Aave, but you're only getting yield from other people in DeFi, right?
Yep.
And when you come to Zoth, you're tapping in to like these traditional finance markets, and you can offer people some really interesting, attractive yields that normally are only given to people that do like, trade financing on Wall Street. And these things are kind of unheard of to people on DeFi. And so that really gets some impressive numbers. And like you said, you're pulling in yields from the outside world. You're not generating yields from thin air, which has hurt DeFi in the past.
Yep. So what we believe is that crypto is at the inflection point. It's where AI was a few years ago. See, the crypto ecosystem works like an echo chamber. You generate yield from here, you bring it there, etc. But it's only so much we can grow. The entire crypto ecosystem today the valuation is less than of NVIDIA. For it to grow, RWA or traditional finance has to come in. So Zoth builds this infrastructure where traditional fixed income products could be leveraged, DeFi products built on top of it, and give access to a much wider audience across the globe to these institutional class products. What that does is brings a much wider volume of assets on chain, providing significant access and availability for users. And RWA or real world asset is the largest sector in crypto. And I believe this sector alone would be bigger than the entire crypto industry put together and would be driver of this whole transformation. And that's what Zoth primarily facilitates and brings to the table.
A lot of people said that gaming would be the next billion users, and some people said it's going to be AI, but I think a lot of people are starting to realize that it very well could be RWA. Now, over the last couple of years, we've seen so many different RWA pitches. People are going to tokenize a racehorse, and they're going to tokenize a bottle of wine, they're going to do this and that. But I see also a lot of failures. But it seems like you pivoted until you found the perfect niche, and you guys are dominating that niche and making it successful. Can you tell people about kind of that evolution of RWA and why you think you're really poised to just really dominate this year in your category?
Yeah. So I have been in the crypto space since 2015. I have bought Bitcoin in 2012. And RWAs have been around with a lot of promise. It's basically like a car which never delivers the mileage that is advertises. It's only now, since last year and a half, that there has been significant adoption of our real world asset, especially if you look at product like US Treasuries and other product. Why is it so? Because in the crypto space, you either offer very fixed income liquid products which are easily scalable, or you obviously go for very high yields. The products like US Treasuries, the reason they have scaled so well because they are easily liquid, they can be easily bought on chain, and there has been a whole DeFi ecosystem built around it. tokenizing assets like properties, real estate, golf, I believe is a far-fetched dream, and it's very difficult to build a fully DeFi native ecosystem around it. What's different at Zoth is we started with various fixed on income assets, and we have both structured as well as unstructured products like trade finance as well as our fixed income bonds, etc. But what we believe that as of today, the market is mature for bringing highly liquid fixed income product like US treasuries, money market funds, bonds, etc. on chain, create a whole DeFi ecosystem on top of that, where not only the products bought on chain, but you can create a digital replica of most of these off-chain assets and create multiple DeFi applications like lending, borrowing, buying, selling, payments, and create a full stable coin or stable token driven architecture and growing the whole market bigger. Now, we have started with fixed income products, and as Zoth, we will gradually grow. But the idea is that this is a sweet spot where we believe there will be inflection point. And very recently, we launched our stable token ZUSD, which saw over 20 million in sales in a matter of 1 week. Now, there is obviously we tried various options, iterations, how to drive traction. And this was a quick win moment for us, because where product has hit virality when, you don't really need to push, it sells on its own. And, I'm seeing that adoption right now, which makes us believe that we have found that sweet spot where how do you bring assets and integrate them with DeFi and create an ecosystem which basically leverages the real world, I would say, structures, securities, safeguards, and build the DeFi stack on top to create a much wider utility and use case.
Tell me more about this stable token, because like you said, it's fairly recent and you had massive traction right away. What's the thought process behind it? Or how could you explain it to kind of a normal person in finance or even someone in DeFi?
So we are still in private beta, and we launched it to only our kind of limited circle as of now. And we have been putting it in testnet over the last 6 months, where we got like significant traction from retail. But in simple terms, if I have to explain it to anybody, it's you have seen giants like Tether, USDT, USDC. What they do, they take capital, give you a stable token and buy an underlying asset, which is a representation of the token that they have given. Now, it could be Bitcoin, etc., but that's completely controlled by them and managed by them. What Zoth is moving towards is a more decentralized ownership of stable tokens, which means that you don't rely on Tether, USDT or USDC to mint it. You have a asset which Zoth recognized as the right collateral. So if you own money market funds, if you own US treasury bills, you come to Zoth platform, put it as a collateral and mint USD on top. So you get that basic yield that the platform provides or the asset provides, but on top, Zoth had partnered with various players in the DeFi ecosystem to generate additional stacked rewards for you. Now, this stable token, as of today, we have built the primary ecosystem where users get incentives just to mint it and hold it, but we are slowly building the whole secondary ecosystem of payments, remittances, finances, etc. for it. But what essentially we are doing is we are decentralizing the minting, the governance. So basically, any institution, individual with the right assets can mint this stable token, get yields as well as be part of the whole Zoth ecosystem and basically gain from it. It's decentralizing profit, decentralizing ownership and minting of stable tokens, which is one of the major, I would say, products in crypto which have find strong product market fit.
Does it pay a coupon like a fixed income piece? And is that a fixed rate, or how does that work?
So the underlying asset generates a fixed coupon. For example, the underlying asset is, say, if it's US treasury bills, it's a fixed coupon of 3 to 4%. We create a stacked reward on top where a lot of our partners give additional incentive, which are generally also fixed on top, just for example, to mint and bring it on chain. And as of now, it's completely fixed and it is available to on private beta to some of our LPs.
Okay. And is it specific to credit? So will it be like a US Treasury stable token versus like a trade debt token, or is it all just kind of one asset type and one risk
It's
type?
only one asset type as of now. We are only focusing on money market funds, US Treasury bills, and similar liquid products. In the future, we will look at other avenues. For example, trade finance or other products which have some lock-in or some what I would call duration for which they are illiquid. But as of now, liquid instruments which could be liquidated any instant is the underlying asset which generate the yield, making it easy for users to redeem as well as borrow and have built multiple applications on top of it.
That's exciting. All right. So if I'm Tether, I'm holding dollars and issuing dollar-based stable coins. If I'm Zoth, I'm holding, say, US treasuries or treasury bills, and I'm issuing treasury-based stable tokens.
Yes. And in case of Zoth, anybody can come to Zoth platform and issue the Zoth stable token. Zoth is just providing you the platform. So Zoth is decentralizing the governance and allowing you more usage of your real world asset rather than you just holding it and earning 3-4%. You get additional incentive and an additional utilization of it.
Okay.
So it's just decentralizing the whole minting process.
Wow. Okay. Well, now look, we've seen massive players like BlackRock going into this space. I think they have this, it's called a BIDL change. I think that's an acronym where we see them tokenizing treasuries.
Yeah.
I know Franklin Templeton also has a small group that's been doing some of that as well.
Yeah.
So it seems like you're right on the cutting edge as they are, but it sounds like you're innovating even ahead of them.
Yep.
Probably because you're a smaller player that can move more nimbly. Is that kind of what's going on here?
So yeah, means all of the competition you mentioned are the underlying assets. They bring the products on chain. But at 2-3% is yield is sometimes not that attractive to a DeFi native DGen or an investor. So what we are doing is building the whole leverage infrastructure on top, where those assets could be put as a collateral and Zoth stable token could be minted, generating even more utility and incentives for the DeFi native crowd. Basically giving more access, more utility across the ecosystem.
And then I can restake it or stake it.
Yes.
And then take the 2 to 3% up 4 to 6 or
even higher,
7 to 9.
Yeah.
And it starts to get really interesting.
Really interesting.
And that's done with basically leverage on chain that you can only really get on chain. Is that right?
It's leverage on chain, which currently we can only get on chain.
Right. Okay. And that's super attractive because these institutions and TradFi players, they probably have a remit to own treasuries.
Yep.
But the yields are so unattractive, they're not interesting. So this is a very good reason for them to push a little bit and get into DeFi.
Yeah, and also what I believe is that if you look at the market sentiments with the new dispensation at White House coming in, DeFi is an area where everybody wants to explore, but not everybody is aware of the risk or the challenges that bring in. So at Zoth, what we are bringing is giving you an easier access to DeFi without really putting your capital, at least at the initial stage, you just put a collateral and put it on chain. Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah. You put your collateral as part of the ecosystem, put it on chain. So you have your collateral, you are still earning yield from it, but at the same time, you have this DeFi native token, which you can use for lending, for sales, for buying Bitcoin or whatever you want to do. When you return that capital, you get your collateral back. But the idea is that now your asset, which was lying dormant, which was earning 2, 3, 4% yield, gives you an access to an asset which has multiple DeFi native use cases.
Right. So powerful. I mentioned people like BlackRock and Franklin Templeton. Do you think at some point they'll try to buy you? Do you think at some point they'll try to use your protocols? Because, you guys...
We are working with one of the largest protocols who have issued more than $1.5 billion worth of US treasuries and money market products on chain as collateral already. It's just a matter of time. We're already working with some of the top financial institutions, helping them basically understand the DeFi ecosystem and how to really leverage distribution around this space.
Pritam, what's your hardest job? I mean, I know you have a background in traditional finance. You worked in London, which probably used to be the most important financial capital in the world. Maybe it's number 2. So you know how the city works. You know how these old school bankers work. And I used to be one of those bankers. I spent 5 years on Wall Street, Chicago, and then 10 years in London. Are you so successful at this because you know how to speak their language? What is the hard part? Is it having those meetings with TradFi people, or is it just making the tech that makes it a no-brainer, or is it both?
I think tech is easy, especially at Zoth. We have a unique composition of the team. There's a team which me and a couple of players who have very strong TradFi experience, but at the same time, we have a team which is completely DeFi degen. They live, breathe crypto. So with combination of this team, one of our major USP is tech and product-driven marketing. Working with the traditional finance institution is the hard part, not just for us, for any crypto company, but where we have been able to make progress is because of our background. We understand both worlds. We are able to speak their language, explain to them the risk, the challenges, the issues. And look, crypto, I believe, is right now in a space where everybody wants to dip their toes and try to figure out what's happening. So that's a unique opportunity for us. But yeah, means I believe to be successful in RWA, you need to speak the language of both worlds. And that's what at Zoth we are able to do because of the experience me and the team has in the space.
Okay. Is there any specific region or financial center you've had more success in? Is it, a Singapore or a London or a New York?
We had very good exposure in Singapore, Hong Kong, and Dubai also. We had regulated fund structure based in Luxembourg and Cayman. I believe the most, US is as a market, we haven't ventured out that much yet, but I believe that's a potential in the future. But yeah, the most success has been in pretty much all major global financial centers.
Okay. You referenced a brand new regime in America, and I would love to get your thoughts on that. We've obviously got a new president. That president has his own DeFi protocol called World Liberty Financial. His sons are involved in that. And we have a new SEC chairman. We have a lot of his cabinet involved in finance. Howard Lutnick, who's the Commerce Secretary, also runs BCG, used to be called Cantor Fitzgerald when I work on Wall Street, and they do the custody for Tether. Yeah. I'm sure you know this. Also, Bobby Kennedy, who's going to make America healthy again, put all of his savings in Bitcoin 2 years ago when he got orange pilled at one of the conferences. And so I always tell people, I don't think it's just lip service with Trump because he's got a whole team that are hugely invested in crypto. David Sachs from Andreessen Horowitz is now his crypto and AI advisor, and he's deep into this space.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to be lip service. And again, if they want to prosecute people in DeFi, he's going to have to start with his own family. And so tell me, what do you think is going to happen? When you saw him speaking at the Bitcoin conference, does this make you super bullish on America, or are you still also cautious?
So, I have lived in America. I have lived in San Francisco, Boston, and, I did a program at Stanford. So, there are a lot of good things in America. And the best part is the country still is the beacon of innovation. I think, especially in the crypto and part in the AI space due to various reasons, and obviously how the market behaves, the regulations have been stifling. But what we need to understand is that the securities laws have been framed in 1930s, 1920s. DeFi is just, the entire Bitcoin ecosystem is just 10 years old. So the laws haven't kept speed with the innovation that's happening. And that's always the case. It's just that in other sectors, US always allowed it to happen. And in crypto, it always have been enforcement and trying to stifle innovation till the past regime. I think what changes with Trump is that ability to kind of innovate, ability to take risk, understand what are the bad actors, the good actors, because at the end, it's a technology. And there would always be some good actors and bad actors like you had with the e-commerce days when they started. It's just about having more progressive regulations and allowing innovation to foster. And I think I'm very hopeful with the new administration. I have been always long on America, and I'm just, double bullish on America now.
Yeah, you've lived there. There's this culture of entrepreneurship and innovation that's unlike any place else. Yep. You're taught maybe from the way the geography is or the way the country grew up. Both of my great-grandfathers, came over there on a boat, and they basically said, go west if you want to build a business. and we're going to leave you alone. You can have free land, go for it. And I think that spirit is still there, where it's like, prove yourself, go do it. So I agree. Once you take the reins off, which is what the last 4 years have been, I do bet on the US, which is great. It's been frustrating to watch them try to apply these antiquated security laws to crypto. You know, we went all into crypto 4 years ago, and I heard that the SEC chairman had taught a course at MIT. I took courses at the MIT Sloan School of Management. I got a degree. So I thought, oh, this is amazing. So I took his course on YouTube, 24 hours long. It was public. And Gary Gensler really understands cryptography. He really understands crypto. And back then in his lectures, he used to say that, Ethereum wasn't a security. And yet when he got elected, somebody else came out. And so we saw that regulation by enforcement and all that stuff. So I'm so glad we have this new regime with a businessman in place. And he's already talking about just letting the reins go and letting the innovation happen. So I'm super bullish. I guess we have to watch and see at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
See, I believe that crypto actually upends a lot of existing interest. If you look at stablecoin space, stablecoins are eating some of the existing payment processors for lunch. You know, why do I need a bank if I can store all my money in stables? Why do I need a payment processor or a lending when I can put a collateral and get things done? So the on-chain economy is a threat to many established players. I did, during some of my past roles, I worked at Anheuser-Busch, and we built a lending business across Nigeria, South Africa, and Latin America. The money lender used to rip people. Means some of the card processor charged 2.5% per transaction. Crypto changes that. Now, any innovation will always face resistance. And I believe this is the phase where, you first ignore it, then you call it a scam, and then you kind of demean it, and finally we win. And I believe crypto has finally entered the phase where for all the challenges the sector faces, now it's slowly building that streak where you actually are seeing companies with strong product market fit, winners. The recent acquisition of Bridge by Stripe is a great example of $1 billion acquisition, because you have the world's largest payments company acquiring a 2-year-old crypto startup. So yeah, I believe the sector is evolving, and it's like any other sector. It's a journey.
Yeah, now that's a very forward-thinking company. I actually had one of the Irish brothers on basically a London Real show back in 2013 when they had just started Stripe. And they were really looking to innovate and bring all of their tech know-how, and they basically beat the incumbents at their own game. So I would expect those guys to think forward, and it's nice. But at the same time, there's other issues, like Trump's going in and we think he's going to do all these great things. But people talk about the resistance of new ideas. Some people call that the deep state. In finance, I'm curious, is there like a deep state of finance that wants to resist these trends? Because the banking industry is powerful. It's extremely profitable. Some people argue that JP Morgan and BlackRock are extensions of the US government. And so I'm wondering, how far can you go if you're trying to make banks obsolete, if you're trying to put payments on chain and even anonymous? When do you think there'll be the pushback?
So I think pushback is already happening. And, that's why you see so much challenges across, that whole debanking that happened in US or various other areas. But what I believe is, for example, Tether owns more US treasuries today than Germany. It's one of the largest buyers of US treasuries. So look, there is a flip side. At one end, you have a player which is actually helping you in dollarization. And at the same time, obviously, if payments move on chain, the fees and some of the entrance players lose out on a lot of revenues. So I believe it's a chicken and egg. The deep state, as you call, is impacted and is trying to fight hard. But I think if you see with BlackRock, Biddle, and a couple of other, they're also now feeling that, it's time we explore this space, get into it, see what we can do, what business models can be made. And I believe the space will grow big enough. Look, the entire crypto sector is less than the valuation of NVIDIA. So imagine the space we have to go. Means at 30 trillion will be less than maybe the top 10 in NASDAQ, 10, 20 in NASDAQ. So we have a long way to go. And I believe there is enough size of the pie is big enough for a lot of people.
Yeah, I agree. I think they say in tech, something has to be 10 times better of a product in order to usurp the incumbent. But like you said, I mean, look, BlackRock, biggest financial institution in the world, is pushing the Bitcoin ETF.
Yeah.
You know, my dad is one of the smartest guys I've ever met. He's 80 years old, master's in electrical engineering from Caltech, but he won't touch Bitcoin with a 10-foot pole because he's in that Warren Buffett mentality. Meanwhile, Larry Fink is sneaking Bitcoin into his pension fund over here. So we've already seen, you know, what you would think would be the deep financial state breaking their own rules, and they're putting treasuries on chain, and Franklin Templeton's doing it as well. So I think you're right. I think we're actually seeing people adopt this. And with Trump in office, I think more people are going to. And it's going to be interesting to see what we see over the next year or two.
How do you get out of a rat race? How do you create wealth not only for yourself, but also for the generations to come after?
I am absolutely amazed with the quality of companies that we're getting exposure to.
We go on to Zoom calls with the innovators and the folks who are building new applications in metaverse, blockchain, artificial intelligence, decentralized finance.
What's going on, everybody? Thumbs up if you can see me.
We are focusing on early stage investment.
And the quality of people that we're getting exposure to, whether it be Dan Tapiero with 1RT, Jason Ma from Open, Yatsu from Animoca.
It's been a phenomenal experience thus far. It has far exceeded my expectations.
We are focusing on cutting edge technologies.
I view it now as the best investment I've ever made. The upside I view is unlimited.
And as a retail investor, I would never get this exposure anywhere else outside of Investment Club.
See you in the Investment Club.
What is your plan for 2025? What are the products you want to innovate? Are you trying to take your stable token onto mainnet? And how is that whole plan? How do you plan to expand this year?
So 2025 is really most about expansion for us. We believe that Zoth and our ecosystem of products have found the initial product market fit. There's some early customers, early ecosystem players. And we always have the one difference at Zoth that we have been driving is the whole community angle. We have over 1 million plus community. There are close to 2 million users on our testnet. So growing the whole community, basically scaling the products, especially in the DeFi space, building more use cases around it. So today, for example, ZUSD, our stable token, is sitting on a 20 million TVL. How do we grow it to 200 million? What are the things we need to do? How we kind of get the community involved? How we can build more ecosystem around it? Can ZUSD be used for payments? Can it be used for anything like, lending, borrowing, and build those use cases around it? A key moment would be where it's still a pre-TG company. And now one of our key focus would be that to build the whole TG ecosystem, because that drives the underlying value of the whole Zoth ecosystem. How do we kind of get there and bring a much more decentralized ownership of things? So multiple steps are there. So Q1 would primarily be all about scaling, doing our token generation event of the underlying governance ecosystem, and then really scaling the products, drive revenue, because every ZUSD minted is basically a revenue back to the Zoth ecosystem, and scale that across various products and services.
Now, the holders of your stable tokens and your soon-to-be issued Zoth token, those are retail, those are institutions, and I'm just curious, how do you find more of those users? And then on the other side, you have maybe your more B2B play, where you're onboarding more financial institutions. So I'm wondering, is that how you look at it?
Yeah, so we have built a retail community, primarily across the Zoth ecosystem, who believe in this idea of decentralization. And, it's like having that following of how like many people like the whole idea of breaking barriers that we at Zoth are doing. So as of now, we have testnet access to primarily retail. But the idea is that ZUSD currently has primarily DeFi native users, which are institutions. We are scaling it to retail slowly, and it will be more time towards our TGE when we have much wider incentive and reward mechanism for users to hold Zoth token and basically also get access to ZUSD. And as we scale in 2025, then find out more retail and institutional use cases for ZUSD and build from there. On the institutional side, we have most of our fixed income products which are sold are primarily sold in KYC, KYB to institutions. And, that scales on its own. It's very similar to, products like Ondo, Aave, etc. The idea is to have two businesses. The volumes comes from institutions. The user base drives adoption.
Okay, right. So it's a kind of a different version of Aave, where you got borrowers and lenders, want that extra yield, want it on chain.
Yep.
You're just providing something outside of the ecosystem, something from TradFi, something also sometimes more interesting as well. Now, you mentioned fixed income products, and we mentioned treasury securities. You also do other different types of fixed income, trade finance, or anything else that has different types of yields or things that people aren't ready for?
Peter Thiel took $500,000 and turned it into $1 billion using the exact same techniques we're using inside the investment club. He met a CEO, his name was Zuckerberg. He pitched him the deal and he said, okay, I'll give you $500,000. Mark went public and sold the shares to people like you. Well, what happened to Peter? Well, he exited and got a 2,300x return. The wealthy invest in early stage companies, folks. The public markets are for suckers. It's a rigged game. By the way, this happens in crypto as well. It's called pre-sale tokens. This is Solana. Does anybody know this chain? They sold pre-sale tokens for 4 cents. And you can see the date on there, April 5th, 2018. Look at Solana today, folks. That thing's up over 1,000x. The media and Wall Street and all these hype people get you to buy the top. Meanwhile, they put their clients in at the bottom and they use you for liquidity to make their clients rich. You can play this same game. You just have to have the financial education and the deal flow. That's it.
Yeah, so we have trade finance. We started actually with trade finance product, where we basically offer it to accredited and investors, giving them a much higher alpha. That's not available to retail as of now, and we intend to keep it because it's a more sophisticated product. But the more liquid products that we have, which is primarily treasury bills and other fixed income products, or ZUSD, which is on top, these are like we are rolling out to institutions and retail. So we have created a categorization of products serving, I would say, accredited institutional investors, which primarily goes into the B2B route, and at the same time building an infrastructure which sells to retail users, especially products which can be like easily scaled and have a strong secondary market in place.
Okay. Talk to me about the token. What utility do you envision for this? And how do you see it being part of your ecosystem? Obviously, your ecosystem currently works without it, although I don't know, maybe you have a reward system. With that token, and I asked this to a lot of founders, I mean, the token really gives you lots of options, doesn't it? It gives you lots of things you can do to reward and to really get people interested in your ecosystem. So what is your plan? Is it called Zoth or what?
It's Zoth. Okay. Yeah, means we are working towards it. See, the idea is that at the end, Zoth is a decentralized, see us as decentralized tether. Or imagine, you are part of a group which basically is minting the new stable token for the crypto ecosystem. So Zoth token is the center of everything that we do. Every stable token that gets minted, the revenues generated goes into burning our underlying governance token. So basically creating I would say inflationary supply. Most importantly, it allows governance. So we have the right assets, the right mechanism to have users on board, staking and rewards. So create a 360-degree ecosystem where users are both incentivized to be part of the governance. The token gets inflationary mechanisms by the more USD that gets minted, and the reward mechanism. So create that whole flywheel of reward, incentivization, and inflation is central to the Zoth token.
Okay. And the sooner you roll that out, the better, you're thinking,
Yeah, means it's better. Obviously, it's better at scale. Our idea is to basically roll it out over the next few months or quarters, and because that helps us scale, that helps us build a narrative, and also kind of engage with the million-plus community that we have, giving them a say in the whole Zoth ecosystem, because that's the vision that we primarily are driving.
Okay. Talk to me about competition. I mean, you mentioned some slightly different business models like Aave and Ondo, but for you, what's the competition like out?
So our competition would be companies like Ondo Finance or recently launched usual money or Enzen finance, primarily similar stable tokens backed by real world assets. And all of them obviously started before us, have achieved different levels of success. And we believe Zoth is on a similar or a better trajectory.
Well, with slightly different tech and slightly different offerings.
Yeah.
Right.
But I believe the market is quite big. I think the biggest difference for us is we are not just bringing on-chain products and creating utility on top of it. We are also bringing the off-chain ecosystem, because see, if you look at most of our competitors, they are operating within the DeFi ecosystem, which has its own limits. But at what Zoth, we act as a bridge between by allowing even assets which are not tokenized, which are just lying with a broker, with a custodian, putting it part of our collateral pool and building a DeFi native utility on top. That's something which nobody else is doing. It allows us access to much wider ecosystem and build multiple DeFi products which can be scaled globally.
And you want people to use your protocols and come in and start minting your stable tokens on their assets. You want this to be just a completely decentralized.
It's like decentralized tether, as I said.
Yeah, it's a great example. And it doesn't really exist out there right now, especially at that institutional level.
No.
Okay. Quite a vision. And again, to be on the same caliber as Ondo, I mean, they're a multi-billion-dollar protocol, right? There's worse competition to have.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. What do you think 25 is going to be like from a crypto standpoint? And how does that affect your market, if at all? Does Bitcoin doubling, does RWA becoming the narrative change your business?
See, it's crypto is driven by sentiments and narratives. And I think for Zoth, you say the market is quite big. I believe that we have some unique USP. There is Ondo, or there are multiple other players that are available in the market. But there is enough space for everybody. And most importantly, the unique partnerships and modes that we have built with traditional finance, as well as our proprietary stacked rewards or our collateralization engine, is quite powerful. So I believe that the overall rise in crypto ecosystem will just give more impetus to companies like Zoth, help them grow, help them scale. And, a bull market is good for everybody. Zoth products typically act as I would say, hedge during bull market, and also a safe avenue in bear markets.
Right, because you're bringing that outside yield into the ecosystem.
Yep.
Yeah, we all remember the bull market yields from 21, and then we remember the bear market yields.
Exactly.
They crashed down.
Yeah.
How do you build the team at Zoth?
So Zoth was started by me and my co-founder. We both used to work together, and in Anheuser-Busch, we built a fintech business together, and we were fascinated by the idea of stable token and the revolution that they are bringing. We saw the impact that was creating in emerging markets, and we just got started. As we left our jobs, it was early 2023. The FTX crisis was going on, so it was the peak of bear market. There was no investor, no VC investing in anything remotely linked to crypto, but we really believe that this is going to be a foundational piece of the way finance moves in the future, because I have built multiple successful businesses. I had offers at that point to start another fintech business, but my idea was that, look, as an entrepreneur, your risks are capped. You can only lose this much, but why get into an industry where the upside is not visible? So let her take that big risk. Let her take that opportunity, be the Amazon of crypto, be the PayPal of crypto, and try to do that, because what's the point of building another fintech company? And we both took the plunge at the worst time of the crypto market, and here we are.
And what's that journey been like? How many employees do you have? Where are you based? How do you structure this whole thing?
So the team is pretty much spread across the globe. We have some of our key partners based out of New York, Dubai. I'm based in mostly between Dubai and Singapore. The tech team is spread between Singapore, India, and we have a marketing team primarily spread in Dubai and Singapore. It's a 30-people team as of now.
And do you try to keep costs low? How do you manage a team like that?
So we are a venture-backed company, but we have kept our cost significantly low. The idea is to hit strong PMF. We have started generating revenues and kind of scale the business from there.
Okay. Nice. And so TGE and then kind of away you go.
Yeah.
If that's successful and you scale the products, then from there it's
up and up and up.
Up and up and up. You guys have coined a term called RWA-Fi. I've never heard this before. Can you explain what that means?
So RWA-Fi means bringing real scalable financial ecosystem of RWAs. People have been talking about RWA, but RWA means what? RWA means tokenizing, but has tokenization really succeeded? I don't think so. It's succeeded in pockets. So what is RWA-Fi? RWA-Fi is looking RWAs on a new paradigm.
To continue watching the rest of the episode for free, visit our website londonreal.tv or click the link in the description below.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. On the Twitter, let's do this.